My family called me greedy for charging rent on the house I inherited, then showed up anyway. Hi, I'm Adrian Kovacs, 41, and the moment my sister laughed in my face on the driveway, I knew the beach house was about to tear my family apart. "Why are you charging us rent?" she said, actually laughing, loud enough that the gulls on the railing scattered. "This is the family beach house. It used to be. Now it was mine. I inherited it after my grandmother died. A narrow, weather-beaten oceanfront house on a Croatian barrier island. 4 bedrooms, warped deck boards, a private path to the sand. My grandparents bought it when nobody wanted coastal property and storms were just bad weather, not named events. For years, my family treated it like a free resort. Every summer. No questions. No thank yous. No checks written. I stood there calmly, my phone already open. "Because I pay the taxes," I said. Euro 26 for 100 a year. My father snorted. "So what? We're family." I nodded once. Didn't argue. My sister Ivana's kids were already running past me with inflatable boards, sand flying everywhere. My son Leo, 9 years old, stood glued to my side on the gravel, gripping his small rolling suitcase with the cracked wheel. He looked between me and Ivana like he'd walked into the wrong movie scene. Dad crossed his arms. "We don't pay rent here." I turned my phone so they could see the screen. Property tax notice. My name at the top. My grandmother's crossed out in red. "I pay the taxes," I said again, quieter than I meant to. 26,400. Every year. Dad waved it off. "You make airline money. Meanwhile, your sister's raising 2 kids on 1 salary. You really want a nickel-and-dime family over a beach week?" There it was. In 1 sentence. Ivana grinned and called over her shoulder. "Hear that? Your uncle wants us to pay to visit Grandma's house. Uncle Adrian's greedy now." Her boys laughed. One of them brushed past Leo and sang, "Jaridi." Leo didn't laugh. He pressed closer to me, his fingers sliding into the seam of my pocket like he used to do when he was younger and scared. His ears turned red as he stared at the sand stuck to his sneakers. I wanted to say 100 things. That it wasn't Grandma's house anymore. That I was the one who replaced the roof after the winter storms. That airline money comes from sleeping in hotel rooms while your kid falls asleep without you. Instead, I swallowed it all. I said nothing. And I watched my son learn exactly where he ranked in this family. For context, I'm Adrian Kovacs, commercial pilot based out of Vienna. I fly mostly European routes. Early departures to Stockholm, late returns from Lisbon, the kind of schedule that teaches you patience whether you want it or not. I'm married to Elena, a primary school teacher, and Leo is our only child. Quiet kid, thoughtful, builds entire cities out of Lego and narrates them like documentaries. We live inland, 2.5 hours from the coast, in a perfectly average townhouse with thin walls and a shared driveway. The beach house is not average. It sits on a thin strip of land between sea and marsh, the kind of place estate agents call undervalued for now. Ocean-facing deck, salt in the air, wind that never fully stops. It was the backdrop of my entire childhood. When my grandmother died 5 years ago, everyone assumed the house would be split fairly. My father always said that phrase like it was a law of nature. Except the will didn't say that. It said, very clearly, that the house went to me. Only me. She left letters for everyone. Mine was short, written in shaky blue ink. "You were the only one who came when the heater broke. You never asked for fuel money. You always answered the phone. You'll take care of it, or you'll let it go. Either way, I trust you." I sat in my car and cried for 10 minutes straight. No one else did. They were too busy being angry. Ivana called the next morning. "It should have been divided," she said. That's what she wanted. I reminded her that our grandmother had also said, many times, that she didn't want it rented out and didn't want to end up in assisted living. Ivana scoffed. Well, look how that turned out. My parents took a softer approach. At first, little comments. She'd want everyone to enjoy it. "It's a family place. We'll help with the expenses." They never helped. Every year, the house cost more than it gave back. Taxes, coastal insurance, wind insurance, emergency assessments for dune restoration. When the roof failed, it was 15,000 euros. When the air system died the following summer, another 6,800 euros. The dock pilings rotted. The stairs to the beach collapsed after a storm. Every single time, it was me standing there with contractors on my days off, phone pressed to my ear, Leo sitting nearby with headphones on, because there was nowhere else for him to be. Ivana was always busy with the kids. My parents followed storms on television and called to warn me about whether I'd already flown through. Still, every June, the calendar filled itself. Ivana claimed late July. My parents liked August. Cousins appeared for just a few nights. Relatives I barely knew somehow had the code to the lock. They called it the family beach house. What they meant was, Adrian pays, everyone else enjoys. When we came together, Leo never got a room. Ivana's boys each had their own. They're older, she said. They need space. My parents took the primary bedroom. Leo got the pull-out couch, or, if we were lucky, the tiny utility room that smelled like detergent and damp wood. His drawings stayed on the fridge until the next group replaced them with shopping lists. His shells were dumped into decorative bowls. His name never appeared on the chalkboard Ivana hung in the hallway listing who belongs. When I pointed it out, she laughed. Don't be weird. It's just a sign. I told myself he wouldn't notice. I was wrong. The rent conversation happened in late May, and that was the moment everything tipped. We'd driven down to open the house for the season, air out the mattresses, bleach the mildew off the deck chairs, reset the breakers the winter storms always tripped. My parents and Ivana said they'd help, which meant sitting on the porch with drinks while I hauled furniture. I taped the new tax bill to the fridge so I wouldn't forget to schedule the payment. Ivana saw it first. Euro 26 for 100, she whistled. Damn, airline money really is something. Leo was at the table building a runway out of wooden blocks. He didn't look up. It doesn't pay itself, I said. I'm gone half the month. Dad snorted. You chose that life. You always liked being gone. Always selfish with your time. That word, selfish, landed harder than he meant it to. I hadn't planned to say anything. I swear I hadn't. But I was sweaty, exhausted, staring at a bill with my name on it while my son slumped in a chair because he'd insisted on coming with me instead of staying home alone. I can't keep doing this for free, I said. The porch went quiet. Even the speaker Ivana brought seemed to die. What, she said. I can't keep paying for everything while everyone treats it like a resort, I said evenly. If you want a full week in July, I need 1,300 euros. She laughed. Loud. Sharp. You're serious? Yes. Why are you charging us rent? She snapped, voice already rising. This is the family beach house. Dad leaned back. Ungrateful. Your grandmother gave you this place, and now you're squeezing your own family. Across the table, Leo's hands froze on his blocks. We paid for flights last summer, Ivana added. Those weren't cheap. You used my staff passes, I said. 4 round-trip tickets for 60 euros each. You reimbursed me for parking. She rolled her eyes. Same thing. Leo quietly slid one of the blocks into his lap, shrinking in on himself like he wanted to disappear. Dad pointed at me. You just bought a new car. The old one had 340,000 kilometers, I said. So, some of us don't upgrade whenever we feel like it. That's when I felt the anger. Not explosive, not loud, just steady and shaking in my hands. The kind of anger that makes pilots nod and comply even when they hate the instruction. I nodded. Okay, I said. Ivana smirked like she'd won. That night, back at home, I tucked Leo into bed. Dad, he asked quietly. Are we poor? My stomach dropped. What? No. Why would you think that? Aunt Ivana said you need money from them now, he said. She said maybe airline pilots aren't as rich as they pretend. I sat on the edge of his bed. We're not poor. I've just been paying for things that other people should help with. His voice got smaller. Is it my fault? Because I broke the screen door last year? There it was. The guilt he'd been carrying. No, I said immediately. None of this is your fault. Not the door. Not the house. Not anything. He nodded, but the kind kids do when they just want the conversation to end. After he fell asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with the tax bill and my laptop. Elena looked up from grading papers. Do you really want to charge them? They laughed at me, I said. In front of him. She sighed. So what now? Now was the line. The next morning, I listed the house on Airbnb. Listing the house felt strangely clinical. I already had the photos, from the repainting 2 summers earlier, back when I still believed, next year will be easier. I wrote the description like I was advertising a place I'd never emotionally bled into. 4-bedroom, oceanfront cottage. Sleeps 10. Private beach access. Carefully maintained. I set the summer rate at 780 euros per night. Not outrageous for the area. Not generous either. I blocked off 2 weeks. One in early June. One in September. Just for us. No parents. No siblings. No cousins dropping by. Then I hit publish. 4 hours later, my phone buzzed. New booking request. 7 nights. July 5th to 12th. Estimated payout. €5,460. I stared at the number longer than I probably should have. That was Leo's entire after-school program for the year. That was the money I'd always been too selfish to spend on anything but repairs. That was peace of mind. I accepted the booking. Then I opened the family group chat and typed one message. Me. Just a heads up, I've listed the house on Airbnb this summer to help cover costs. If anyone wants to stay, you'll need to book through the site like everyone else. I've blocked June and September for my family. The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Ivana, you're joking. Mom, Adrian, this is upsetting. Dad, take it down. Ivana, we already told the kids about July. Mom, your grandmother wanted family memories, not strangers. Ivana, I already booked time off and bought swimsuits. You owe us notice. I stared at the screen. Then I typed the truth. Me, I'm not a backup bank. I'm done paying €26,000 a year so everyone else gets a free holiday while my kid gets called greedy. I muted the chat. Of course, they still showed up. July 5th, turnover day. Elena stayed home, lesson plans and exhaustion. It was just me and Leo driving down with fresh linens, cleaning supplies, and a trunk full of toilet paper for the guests. Do we get to stay this time? Leo asked quietly. Not this week, I said. A family is renting. We'll come in September. Just us. He nodded, tracing the stitching on his backpack. I saw Ivana's van before I even turned onto the street, parked right in front of the house. My parents' car behind it. The renter's vehicle was already in the driveway. Blinds open. Kids inside, bouncing with beach energy. Ivana was out of the van before I shut off the engine. Sunglasses pushed up like a crown. What is this? She yelled. There are strangers in our house. They're guests, I said calmly. They booked. You were bluffing, she snapped. You always bluff. One of her sons jumped out of the van. Where's my room? You don't have one, Leo said softly beside me. Ivana spun. See what you've done? She snapped. At me? But her eyes landed on my son. Something inside me cracked clean in half. Don't talk to him, I said. Dad stepped forward. Stop this. Tell these people there was a mix-up. The front door opened. A man stepped out, confused, apologetic. A little girl peeked from behind him, holding a stuffed astronaut. Is everything okay? He asked. Yes, I said immediately. You're fine. Please stay. Ivana tried to push past me. I didn't move. You're choosing them over us? She hissed. I'm choosing my son, I said. She didn't understand. She never would. For the last time, I said quietly, you need to leave. They did. Slamming doors. Kicked sand. One last insult shouted from the window. Leo flinched. But the house stayed calm. And for the first time in years, it felt like it belonged to us. The fallout didn't wait until we got home. My phone started buzzing before I even pulled back onto the highway. Ivana, I can't believe you embarrassed me like that in front of my kids. Mom, we drove 3 hours for nothing. Dad, you're dead to me until you fix this. I didn't answer. At home, Elena listened while I unloaded everything. Leo sat at the table drawing silently, his tongue pressed to his lip like he did when he was thinking hard. They blamed me, he said suddenly, not looking up. For the house. I asked. No, he said. They blamed you. But they looked at me. That one sentence hit harder than all the texts combined. We're still going to the beach, he added quickly. Right. In September, I said. Just us. He thought about that. Can I have a real room? I laughed softly. Any room you want. They didn't confront me directly after that. They sent messengers. My brother Merrick called from Spain. They're saying you kicked them out of their own house. I asked them to help cover 4 years of taxes, I said. They laughed. He paused. That sounds less like cruelty and more like consequences. My aunt messaged privately. For what it's worth, I always thought it was unfair they treated it like theirs. Love you and Leo. I saved it. Mom left a long voicemail about traditions and how family doesn't charge family. She never once mentioned Leo. Ivana sent a novel about humiliation, broken-hearted children, and how kids shouldn't suffer for adult issues. I typed Leo as a child too about 20 times and deleted it every time. I stayed quiet. By August, The Airbnb payouts were steady. After taxes and repairs, there was money left for the first time ever. I opened a savings account in Leo's name and set up automatic transfers. Is that for flight school? He asked. If you want, I said. Or marine biology. Or something we haven't even thought of yet. September came fast. When we pulled up, the house looked the same, but different. Clean. Quiet. No chalkboard of names. No claimed chairs. Pick any room, I said. Leo froze, then ran to the ocean view bedroom. The one my parents always took. This one, he asked. That one's yours, I said. That night, he taped a drawing above the bed, 3 stick figures on the deck. This stays, he said. So we framed it. As the sun set, we sat on the porch. 2 empty chairs at the end, once claimed, now unused. I felt a twinge of grief. Not for them, but for the version of family I'd chased where my son wasn't an afterthought. Leo climbed into my lap. Are we still family with them? He asked. We're related, I said. Family is who makes you feel safe. He nodded. Then I'm okay. And for the first time in years, so was I. Silence didn't fix anything. It just gave everyone time to rewrite the story. By October, I had become the villain in versions of events I'd never lived. According to my parents, I had thrown my family onto the street. According to Ivana, I'd sold out our childhood for tourists. According to distant relatives, I'd had some kind of midlife crisis and let money change me. No one ever mentioned the numbers. No one mentioned the taxes. No one mentioned Leo. What they did mention was tradition. My mother called again one evening while I was making pasta. I let it ring out twice before answering. You've really done it this time, she said without greeting. Everyone's talking. I know, I said. You embarrassed your sister. You humiliated us. You humiliated Leo, I replied. A pause. Not denial, just discomfort. He's too young to understand adult situations, she said. He understands who laughed at him, I said. She sighed like I was exhausting. You've changed, Adrian. Ever since you started making good money. That old accusation again. Like I'd woken up one day and decided to monetize my personality. After I hung up, I opened the spreadsheet I'd been quietly keeping for years. Taxes, repairs, insurance. Every transfer highlighted in yellow. I sent it to the family chat with one line of text. Me. This is what the house has cost me since Grandma died. If anyone wants to talk about fairness, start here. No one replied. 3 days later, Ivana posted a photo on social media. An old picture of us as kids on the beach. Caption. Some people forget where they come from. Leo saw it over my shoulder while I was scrolling. Is that about you? He asked. Yes, I said. Are you going to answer? No, I said. Not everything deserves a response. He nodded, then surprised me. Good. She never answers when she's wrong either. Kids notice patterns adults pretend don't exist. Winter passed quietly. The house stayed booked on weekends. Guests left kind reviews. One even mentioned how peaceful the place felt. In March, a message finally came from my father. Dad, we need to talk. In person. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Me, okay. But Leo comes first. That's not negotiable. He didn't answer. And that's when I realized this wasn't about a beach house anymore. It was about whether they could accept that I'd stopped playing my old role. We met in a cafe halfway between our towns. Neutral ground. My father picked it, which already told me he wanted control without witnesses. I brought Leo anyway. Not to weaponize him. Not to make a point. But because he is the point. My dad arrived first. Older than I remembered. Same rigid posture. Same look of irritation disguised as authority. You didn't say he was coming, he said, eyes flicking to Leo. I did, I replied, sitting down. I said Leo comes first. Leo slid into the chair beside me and pulled out a book. Didn't look at his grandfather. Didn't need to. Dad ordered coffee he barely touched. Then he leaned forward. You've damaged this family, he said. No greeting. No small talk. Straight to accusation. Your mother's been sick over this. Ivana's kids are confused. All because you decided to make a statement. I didn't make a statement, I said. I paid a bill. That house was never meant to be a business. It was never meant to bankrupt one person either. He shook his head. You think you're better than us now. There it was again. The script he'd memorized years ago. I think my son deserves not to be mocked, I said. Dad scoffed. Nobody mocked him. Leo turned a page. Slow. Deliberate. I was standing there, I said. You were too. Dad looked away. Kids exaggerate. Leo closed the book. Grandpa, he said quietly, Aunt Ivana said my dad is greedy and that it's because of me. The cafe went still. Dad stared at him like he hadn't expected the furniture to speak. That's not what she meant, he muttered. But she said it, Leo replied. Not angry, just factual. And nobody said she shouldn't. Silence. Dad's jaw worked. She was upset. So was I, Leo said. I felt my chest tighten. Pride and heartbreak in equal measure. Dad finally looked at me. Really looked. You could have handled this differently, he said, weaker now. So could you, I replied. At any point in the last 5 years. He sighed. Old. Tired. What do you want? The question surprised him as much as me. I want boundaries, I said. No more free access. No more using family to avoid responsibility. And if you want Leo in your life, you treat him with respect. Every time. Or not at all. Dad rubbed his temples. And the house. The house stays listed, I said. If you want to stay, you book it. Like anyone else. He nodded slowly. Not agreement, acceptance. As we stood to leave, he paused. Your grandmother would have hated this fight. I looked at Leo, then back at him. She trusted me. I said. I'm honoring that. We walked out together. Dad didn't follow. The real ending didn't come with an apology. It came quietly, the way truth usually does. My parents didn't suddenly change. Ivana didn't send a heartfelt message admitting she'd crossed a line. There was no family meeting where everyone clapped and said I was right all along. What happened instead was distance. The group chat stayed muted. Holidays became optional. Invitations slowed, then stopped. At first, it stung more than I expected. Not because I missed the drama, but because I finally understood how conditional my place in that family had always been. If I paid, I belonged. If I pushed back, I didn't. The beach house kept booking. Summer after summer. Families left notes in the guest book about sunsets, quiet mornings, kids sleeping better with the ocean air. One wrote, "This place feels cared for." They were right. In November, I got an email from my father. 3 lines. I don't agree with everything, but I shouldn't have let them speak to Leo that way. You did what you thought was right. It wasn't love, but it wasn't nothing. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the message to Elena, then went to sit with Leo while he worked on a model airport at the kitchen table. Tiny gates. Handwritten flight numbers. A little sign taped to the control tower that read, "Safe landings only." In December, we went back to the beach house. No calendar fights. No claimed rooms. Just the 3 of us in a storm rolling in off the water. Leo ran straight to his room. He'd added to the framed drawing. Same 3 stick figures on the deck, but now there was a 4th. The house itself, smiling, solid, rooted. This is still ours, right? He asked. Yes, I said. As long as I'm alive. He nodded, satisfied. Then added, I like it better when it's quiet. So did I. That night, we sat on the porch wrapped in blankets, listening to the wind move through the dunes. The empty chairs stayed empty. And for once, they didn't feel like loss. They felt like space. I used to think family was something you inherited, like property or debt. Now I know better. Family is who doesn't make your child feel small. Family is who respects your no. Family is who doesn't confuse love with access. I didn't lose a family that year. I stopped paying for one that never fully included us. And in return, I gained something better. A quiet house, a protected child, and the certainty that at least one thing in my life was finally, unquestionably mine.